Good morning, student. In the last class, we had discussed OFDM, how the modulation takes place with the help of this block diagram, and what do we mean by saying subcarriers, how subcarriers carry a small part of data, thereby increasing the throughput and uh, almost minimizing the distortion. So, this is what we had seen. So in today's class, let us see what do we mean by saying this frequency selective fading and how the subcarrier concept helps in overcoming this frequency selective fading. So as you can see in this graph, we have got some number of subcarriers. This is the entire spectrum which the signal occupies. So this continuous line curve defines the spectrum of the signal, and this dash curve actually defines the response of the channel. As we can see, both are almost approximately same. So in case of using subcarriers, as we can see, each subcarrier is responsible for carrying a small part of data. So thereby distortion may affect only a small part of the spectrum. Say for example here, it is affecting a particular subcarrier, not all. So thereby subcarrier concept of carrying data in case of OFDM helps in nulling or minimizing the effect of fading. Now let us see what do we mean by saying this cyclic prefix and why we should use this cyclic prefix. Cyclic prefix is nothing but a symbol that is intentionally added before the commencement of the next symbol. Thereby it separates successive two symbols on the channel. So but the hardware which is used at the transmitter or receiver, it do not know what do you mean by saying the blank spaces that may occurs. So for overcoming this problem, we are actually using the cyclic prefix. So what actually happens in case of adding cyclic prefix? The cyclic prefix actually lengthens the symbol duration. What now let us see how cyclic prefix is actually created. Cyclic prefix is actually created by copying the tail part of a particular symbol, as you can see it here. So this is the part of one symbol's tail part which is copied and brought here. So this is actually going to create the cyclic prefix. So this cyclic prefix is intentionally added before the commencement of the next symbol after the preceding symbol. So what actually is a cyclic prefix? The last part of the symbol itself. So this also helps in minimizing the distortion, and recovery of the signal is made easy. So in case of 802.11 wireless communication, the ratio of cyclic prefix versus data is 1:4. That means for 4 part of data we are actually adding 1 part of cyclic prefix. So what actually happens when you add a cyclic prefix? By actually adding the cyclic prefix, we are in frequency domain rotating the signal. That means a delayed version in time domain as we know from signals and system concept, delayed version of the signal in time domain is equivalent to the exponential part multiplication to the Fourier transform of the same signal, and vice versa. So this actually happens in case of this cyclic prefix being added to the original signal in case of OFDM. So that means delayed in time domain correspond to rotation in frequency domain. But still the correct signal in frequency domain by compensating this rotation can be done. So now let us see the next concept, that is SCFDMA. This is the another type of modulation scheme in parallel to OFDM. Now let us see the parallel comparison of OFDM versus SCFDM. So you can see it here. Consider that we have got some 12 subcarriers. You can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 12. So each subcarrier being allocated a bandwidth of 15 kHz. Thereby the entire 12 subcarriers, each carrying a small part of the data, that is going to make a one particular resource block. This is called as your resource block. So this entire one resource block is occupying how much? 180 kHz bandwidth or part of the spectrum. Now in case of SCFDMA, we are doing a little bit a slight different here. What we are doing, we are entirely dedicating this 180 kHz bandwidth for one particular symbol, but in time domain it is something like becoming a TDMA. That means time division multiple access. For small slot of data, we are transmitting actually a small part of the data. So this is how the difference is between OFDMA and SCFDMA. So single carrier resource block, multiple subcarriers resource block. So SCFDMA in contrast to OFDMA, it is a single carrier resource block. That means over the entire frequency spectrum of 180 kHz, we are going to carry one particular symbol. Thereby this is the difference between OFDMA and SCFDMA. Now this is can be better understood by this diagram. So you can see that in case of OFDMA, we are having here 4 symbols which are occupying the 4 subquadrants of this diagram. So 1 1 minus 1 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 minus 1. So this represent a particular symbol, right? So this is here, right? So as we can see, this is occupying each one a bandwidth of 15 kHz. So all this together is making a OFDM symbol. All these 4 is going to make a OFDM symbol. That means we are loading a small part of the data on each subcarrier. Each subcarrier is of duration 15 kHz. Now let us see how this is different in case of SCFDMA. In SCFDMA, what is happening? For the entire bandwidth of 16 kHz, for the entire bandwidth of 16 kHz, see here, small part of the bandwidth, entire bandwidth of 16 kHz, or it is one SCFDMA symbol, right? In time domain, it is sliced one. That means small part of the symbol is transmitted, right? So whereas here the OFDMA symbol is occupying for the same 4 subcarriers, taking into consideration 4 symbols, right? So this is how this concept is different between OFDMA and SCFDMA. Of course, in both the cases we are going to add a cyclic prefix. Each subcarrier carrying a small part of the data, and each subcarrier's duration is long, right? In time domain it is long, as you can see it here. But the same thing here, the same part of the data occupying see this one and this one, it is occupying the entire bandwidth, but for a small duration of time. Here duration of time is decreased, whereas duration of time is increased here. Frequency part is decrease, frequency part is increase. This is how OFDMA is different from SCFDMA. So in short, we can say OFDMA is nothing but data symbol occupy 15 kilohertz. Each data symbol, this is one, this is one, this is one, this is one. Each one is occupying how much? 15 kilohertz of bandwidth, and each one OFDMA symbol period. Now how it is different in SCFDMA? In SCFDMA, data symbol occupies m into 15 kilohertz for 1 divided by n m SCFDMA symbol period, right? So this is how it is. So now diagrammatically, now let us see how they are different, OFDMA and SCFDMA. You can see it here by this diagram. Just by adding one extra block, the transmitter block diagram of OFDMA can be transformed into transmitter of SCFDMA. And what is that extra block? That extra block is nothing but n point DFT. N point DFT. We already seen OFDMA block diagram earlier. Even then, let us discuss it briefly. So modulator and encoding, first that happens. That means you take a small part of the data, so modulate it over a subcarrier, then encode it. Thereby it is going to create a n number of modulated symbols. Which one? Those modulated symbols are also encoded. Then these are put on serial to parallel. So this is using a shift register, that means serial in, parallel out. We are going to put this modulated symbol onto n subcarriers. Then this is being done discrete Fourier transform. So this is subcarrier mapping. Then after that we are doing m point IDFT. That means inverse discrete Fourier, fast Fourier transform you are doing, right? So then parallel to serial conversion is done. Then you add a cyclic prefix. What is the significance of cyclic prefix? You already seen. Then also during all these sub processes which has been carried out earlier, the shape of the pulses might have been distorted. So they have been they are just restored. Then that is given to a radio frequency section. So after that it is transmitted. At the receiver side, the reverse process takes place, in contrast to the process that happened at the transmitter side, right? That means first you are going to process the radio frequency part, then you are going to remove the cyclic prefix, then serial to parallel conversion. That means whatever process that happens, its reverse happens, parallel to serial, serial to parallel. Then here m point IDFT, here m point DFT. Then subcarrier demapping happens, then n point IDFT parallel to serial, then demodulated and detected part. Thereby we are going to get the original signal. So only difference between OFDMA and SCFDMA is with respect to this n point DFT, which we are going to add. So thereby we can see that the main difference between SCFDMA and OFDMA is the n point DFT that is being carried out extra when compared to OFDMA. Thereby it is going to increase the complexity of both the receiver and the transmitter. So individual transmission shorter in time but wider in frequency domain. So this, in case of SCFDMA, individual transmission shorter in time but wider in frequency. This is evident from this. You can see shorter in time. Each symbol is shorter in time. As you can see, it is very small here. In time domain it is small, whereas it is in case of OFDMA it is occupying a slice of more time duration. This is one OFDMA symbol. This is SCFDMA symbols, right? So these are occupying shorter duration when compared to OFDMA. So this is what it is telling, right? Wider in frequency domain, right? So one pilot symbol is intentionally added in the middle. This helps in smooth recovery of the signal at the receiver side. Now let us see using a graph how SCFDMA concept helps us in getting better parameters with performance matrix parameters. One of the parameters that we have selected in discussing while comparing the performance of SCFDMA with OFDMA is cubic matrix. Cubic matrix. So what is cubic matrix? So cubic matrix is nothing but here it is a parameter which is actually used to compare the power level that is actually consumed at the receiver side, so while recovering the original signal, right? So you can see it here, this is your SCFDMA, right? So it is rolling off very smoothly and consuming less power when compared to say OFDMA. OFDMA is here, it is rolling off a little bit longer when compared to SCFDMA, sorry. So this much of difference for roll off. So this makes a significant difference while you are addressing the concept of power. So this also helps the receiver, your mobile, for minimizing the power consumption while you are trying to recover your original signal. So cubic matrix comparison for SCFDMA and OFDMA. Other types of modulations scheme have also been shown here, but my point of view here is only the comparison between the SCFDMA and the OFDMA. With low cubic matrix modulation, the modulation scheme being used in both the case is QPSK. The amplifier can operate at a maximum power level. So this is the best advantage of using SCFDMA. So this allows a good power conversion, as I was telling earlier, conversion at the receiver side, but lowers device power consumption, as I said earlier. So SCFDMA receivers, but this comes at the cost of SCFDMA receivers are a little bit more complicated compared to OFDMA. This is evident from our earlier diagram. As you can see it here, we are adding an additional N-point DFT and IDFT blocks both at transmitter and receiver side respectively. So this comes at the cost, and the cost can be, say, you can ignore it because you are having good power conversion. So good power conversion in the sense the fidelity of the receiver is good in case of SCFDMA receivers when compared to OFDMA receivers. Next concept here is the single input single output. Actually we are discussing here the MIMO concept, multiple input and multiple output. In order to understand multiple input and multiple output, let us try to understand first what is single input single output and another cases. As it is evident from this graph, there is one transmitter, another at the certain distance we are having a receiver. So feeding with respect to H1, this is a channel feeding H1. So what we are getting is Y1 is equal to H1 into X1, right? So in case of single input multiple output, the bandwidth of the channel remaining same, but you are transmitting one signal which is being received by two receiving antenna. Say the output of one antenna is H1 into X1, whereas the output of the another antenna is H2 into X1, because the same signal is differentially faded. Differentially faded means their amount of fading, their amount of weakening is different with respect to each other. So that's why the same signal X1 it gets different with respect to the feeding coefficient, that is H2 and H1. So here also the channel bandwidth remains same, but here we are going to select the stronger signal while we are going to reject the weaker signal. Though we are having two antenna, but this cost is negligible when compared to having a good fidelity signal. So multiple input, single output. This is in contrast to the earlier case. So here you are having two transmitters and only one receiver. So obviously this one receiver will receive signal from both these transmitters, but see that both have been transmitted at different interval of time. Thereby those two signals get added in the channel. The channel bandwidth remains same, and both these signals get faded differentially by the channel coefficients H1 and H2, and they are get added at the receiver side. So making the response as y1 is equal to H1 x1 plus H2 x2, or say y2 is equal to H1 x2 star plus H2 minus x1 star. This means their complexities, complex signal. Now come to the concept of multiple input and multiple output. That means there are more than one output and more than one input at the receiver side. So this concept is called as multiple input and multiple output. So as it is evident from our earlier cases, y1 will be nothing but, that means the input of the receiving antenna is nothing but the summation of the h1 x1 plus h2 x2, and input of the second antenna is h3 x1 plus h4 x2. This has been put forth in the form of a algebraic equation in the form of a matrix determinant. So this can be added with a Gaussian noise. W is nothing but the Gaussian noise. So 2 degree of freedom is being utilized in MIMO, giving us spatial multiplexing. We are going to discuss spatial multiplexing means what in a little bit later from now. So channel capacity going to remain same, but here the multiple input and multiple output concept helps us in getting the better out of the signal. That means if this signal is better, we are going to select this one. If this signal is better, then we are going to select this signal for decoding. So this is how this MIMO helps us in getting the better received signal. So this is regarding the channel capacity, how it is actually represented using say singular value decomposition. Singular value decomposition, where U and V are unitary matrices, and this No is nothing but a diagonal matrix whose elements are nothing but the eigenvalues which are greater in this sequence. That means the first symbol value will be greater than the second symbol will be greater than the third, so on so forth, right? So the channel capacity can be demonstrated or represented by using a singular value decomposition, and this is nothing but our desired set of symbol. So the content of this matrix which is there in between U and V, that is No, is lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3. They represent our actual desired symbols. So this is what the mathematical treatment for the same thing.